Assalamualaikum. My name is Normashita bint Abdulrahim and today I am presenting a strategy for allocating a USD 1 million portfolio focused on long-term growth with stable returns. So, to start, our approach is built on global diversification across countries, asset classes, and industries, managed under a moderate risk profile. Our target is an annual return of approximately 7 to 8 percentage, balancing opportunity and stability. Next, our diversification strategy is fundamentally driven by global economic power, as evidenced by the top 10 largest economies chart we've included. We focus on the US 55% and China 25% and Japan 20% because they collectively represent the primary engines of global economic activity. The US as the world's largest economy with a projected 30.62 trillion GDP demands the highest allocation, and China offers exposure to high growth emerging market dynamics, and Japan provides stability and technological leadership in Asia, making this trio a robust foundation for global exposure. To achieve stability, we've broken down the 1 million into four key asset classes: 60% stock for growth, 20% for bonds, income stability and risk control, and 10% each for gold as a hedge against inflation, and cash for liquidity. Within the 60% stock allocation, we are highly diversified across sectors like technology, healthcare, semiconductors, EV manufacturing, and AI data centers, avoiding heavy concentration in any single industry. So for geography diversification, the table illustrates the deployment. Our total investment $1 million is precisely broken down. For example, the US received a total of 550,000, while China received 100,000 in gold, maintaining our strict asset class percentage within each country. So for the first one is US for industry diversification. Within the US, we target high growth sector. So the first one is AI data center. It's predicted to increase from 17 billion in 2025 to 165 billion by 2034, a CAGR of 28.34%. The second one is healthcare market. It was valued at USD 4.87 trillion in 2025 and is projected to reach USD 7.64 trillion by 2033, growing at a CAGR of 5.8% from 2025 to 2033. The chart's growth is primarily driven by the high financial burden of chronic disease and increased demand for services caused by the rapidly aging US population. And for the Japan, we targeted advanced technology. The Japan semiconductor market size stands at USD 56.83 billion in 2025 and is projected to advance to USD 70.47 billion by 2030, translating into a 4.4% CAGR over the forecast window. The growth is primarily driven by persistent public sector funding for advanced material and equipments and a strategic shift towards monetizing intellectual properties and producing high value specialty devices. New manufacturing clusters are also expanding to attract foreign investment and reduce supply chain risks. The China electric vehicles market size is estimated at USD 357.98 billion in 2025 and is expected to reach USD 788.20 billion by 2030 at a CAGR of 70.13 percentage during the forecast period 2025 until 2030. So China's EV market is mainly driven by the government's continued tax exemptions for new energy vehicles, which make EVs cheaper and more attractive to buyers. Furthermore, China's data center market is expected to accelerate with a CAGR of 38.3% from 2025 to 2029. The market is projected to grow by USD 274.39 billion during the period, driven by the rise of hyperconverged data centers and the growing impact of AI. Our bond strategy, which accounts for about 25% of the portfolio, is split across three roles: first, safety, defense, and yield. For the US bond, we serve as the safety anchor for stability and liquidity focused on US treasuries. Next, Japan bond act as the defensive buffer to preserve capital and manage volatility with Japanese government bonds. And lastly, China bonds provide selective yield and diversification compared to developed sovereign bonds. Now, we will mitigate this risk by maintaining 20% allocation in bonds for stabilization, And next, holding 10% gold to hedge inflation and economic crisis and utilizing currency hedge, ETF or USD based funded. And lastly, diversifying across regions and industries to reduce concentrated exposure. Our total expected returns is approximately 7.1% annually, which translates to an expected gain of 70,750. The highest expected returns come from China allocation at 8.5%, while the US contribute the largest expected gain at 38,500. In summary, this portfolio is globally diversified and balanced for growth and stability. We have hedging strategies in place to manage market and currency risk, targeting return of 7 to 8% annually with moderate risk level.